There are 5 levels of skill when it comes to creating AI videos inside Higgsfield, and the gap between level 1 and level 5 is genuinely massive. Level 1 is just telling the AI what to do, and it does it for you, whereas level 5 actually lets you control multiple camera angles, decide how characters react, and piece together continuous clips that build a real scene. So I've spent the last 3 weeks working through every feature to figure out exactly where each level starts and where each level ends. And I'm going to walk you through each level, show you exactly what separates them, and by the end you'll know which level you're at and what to do next. The first level is what I call the Explorer. This is where you are discovering AI video for the first time. You're curious, you saw some cool clips online, and you want to try making your own. At this stage, you're working with the 2 most basic workflows, text to video and image to video. So when you open Higgsfield, you'll see all the main sections across the top. For the Explorer level, we're heading straight into video. Once you're in there, you pick a model. Higgsfield gives you access to top tier models like Kling 3, Sora 2, Google Veo 3.1, Wan 2.6, and a bunch more, all under one subscription. I'll go with Kling 3 for this first one because it's fast and it handles stylized visuals really well. Now for the prompt, I'll type a street food vendor tossing noodles over a flaming wok at a crowded Bangkok night market, oil splattering off the edges, charcoal smoke rising through hanging lanterns, handheld camera. And the result already looks great. The fire has that orange glow bouncing off the wok, the noodles have motion, and the whole thing feels like it was actually filmed at a night market. That's the thing about this level, the AI does most of the heavy lifting for you. The other thing you'll want to try as an explorer is the presets section. Higgsfield has a bunch of presets and trending formats built in, and these are styles that are going viral on social media right now. You pick one, upload a photo, and the platform generates a stylized video without you having to write any prompt at all. I'll pick one of the trending styles, upload a photo, and hit generate. And as you can see, it created a really cool result with 0 effort. These presets are fun to play around with, and they're a great way to get comfortable with how the platform works. But you'll start running into a problem pretty quickly. You have 0 control over what the scene actually looks like. The AI picks the framing, the colors, the environment, all of it. And if you generate 2 videos of the same character, they'll look like completely different people because there's nothing anchoring the identity between shots. To fix that, you need to stop going straight to video and start thinking about what happens before you hit generate. At this level, everything changes because you stop treating video generation as a one-step process. Instead of typing a prompt and letting the AI decide what the shot looks like, you're designing the image first, choosing the character, the setting, the outfit, the camera angle, and then you animate that image into a video. That's the designer level. You control the visual before the motion ever starts, and that single change is the biggest quality jump across all 5 levels. So I'll head over to the image section across the top of Higgsfield, and then I'll switch the model to Nano Banana 2. This is Google's latest image model, and it's one of the best at taking a reference photo and placing that person into completely different scenes while keeping their face consistent. I'll upload a character reference photo, and for the prompt, I'll paste something much more descriptive than anything we wrote at the Explorer level. And here's what we get back. The character's face matches our reference, the environment looks exactly like what I described, and the whole thing feels like a real photograph rather than AI generation. Now the cool part at the designer level is that you're not stuck with one image. I can take this same character and completely change the scene by writing a new prompt. So I'll keep the same reference and I'll paste in this prompt. And now we've got the same person in a totally different setting, but her face and features stayed consistent. That's the big difference here. You're controlling what the shot looks like before it becomes a video. Nano Banana 2 can also edit existing images. So if I generated this image of the character exploring some old temple ruins, I can ask it to rotate the camera behind her. I'll type, change the camera angle to be behind the woman. She is looking toward a dark stone corridor ahead. Now I have a completely different perspective of the same scene, which means I can build multiple angles of the same moment without regenerating from scratch. Once I have all these images ready, I switch back to the video section and upload the image I want to animate. For the prompt, I'll type, the woman steps forward cautiously, dust particles swirling through shafts of light from above. And now I've got a video where I controlled the character, the environment, the angle, and the action. This means you now have full control over how your shots look before they turn into videos, so every generation is intentional instead of random. But the thing you notice is that once the video starts playing, the camera either sits completely still or does something you didn't ask for. And that's because you haven't learned how to direct it yet, which is exactly what separates the designer from the next level. In the earlier levels, you were just building the scene and letting the AI guess what to do with the camera. The director level completely flips that dynamic. You take full control over the exact path of the camera, how fast it pushes in, and what the audience actually sees. I'll take this image of a massive ancient tree with glowing roots spreading across the floor of a cave, and I'm going to generate multiple multiple videos from this single image just by changing the camera instructions in my prompt. For the first one, I'll type slow zoom in on the base of the tree, revealing the glowing roots in detail, shallow depth of field. And for the second version, I'll type the camera pulls back slowly to reveal the full scale of the tree and the cave around it. Even though both start from the exact same image, the results feel completely different. The zoom gives an intimate feeling of discovery, while the pullback delivers a massive sense of scale and awe. You can also start combining camera movements in a single prompt. So I'll take this image of a stone watchtower on a cliff, and I'll type the camera orbits slowly around the tower while tilting upward to reveal a blood red moon above the clouds. Now you're stacking two motions at once, the orbit and the tilt, and the result feels like a real crane shot rather than a static clip. Speed also makes a big difference. A slow dolly forward into a scene feels dramatic and suspenseful, but if I write the same movement as fast, it becomes an action shot. I'll type camera flies forward at speed toward the entrance of the tower, low angle, debris, and loose stones scattering as it passes. And you can feel how different that is. You are looking at the exact same location, but the faster camera movement completely changes the energy of the shot. As a director, you also start learning when to use which model. If I take the same image and the same prompt and run it through Kling 3 versus Sora 2, the results come out noticeably different. Kling tends to handle stylized content and saturated colors really well, so cartoons, animations, and anything with bold visuals usually look better there. Sora 2 leans harder into realism, so dialogue, natural movement, and anything that needs to feel like real footage is where it shines. So now you can direct the camera and you know which model to pick for which type of content. All of that gives you really strong individual takes, but you're still creating one clip at a time. And there's an entire section of Higgsfield that turns those single clips into something that feels like actual filmmaking. Every level up to this point has been about typing prompts and hoping the AI interprets the correct camera direction. The cinematographer level is where you stop describing what you want and start building it, because Higgsfield has a feature called Cinema Studio that gives you a virtual camera rig with real lens simulation, 3D scene navigation, and a completely different way to approach every shot. So I'll open Cinema Studio 2.0 from the top navigation. The first thing I see is the camera rig builder, where I can pick a camera body, a lens type, a focal length, and an aperture. In plain terms, those settings control how wide or tight the shot looks, how much background blur I get, and the overall cinematic feel of the image. I can build a completely custom setup, which is massive for getting very specific shots, but most of the time, the recommended presets are all you really need. I will pick one that gives me a wide frame with a soft blurred background. Then I'll switch to the 4x4 grid mode, set the ratio to 16:9, and max the quality to 4K. What this does is generate 16 versions of my image in a grid layout. So I'm picking the strongest composition out of 16 options rather than rolling the dice on a single generation. I'll paste in my prompt, and out of these 16 results, I'm going with this one because the lighting and the framing are exactly what I need. Now I will press create 3D scene on this image. This opens up a full 3D view where I can physically walk around inside the image and reposition my camera in real time. If I want a lower angle, I just move down to it. If I want a wider frame that shows more of the environment, I pull back. Once I find the angle I like, I press capture shot, and that locks in my final image. Higgsfield calls this the hero frame first approach. The idea is that you nail the lighting, the composition, and the character details in a still image first so that everything carries over when you animate it. Once I'm happy with the hero frame, I click on it, press animate, and it loads into the video tab as my start frame. And that's the core idea behind the cinematographer level. At every previous level, you're reacting to what the AI gives you. At this stage, you are deciding what the shot looks like before a single frame is generated, down to the lens, the angle, and the composition. I'll keep it on single shot mode, set the aspect ratio to 16:9, and the resolution to 1080p. I'll paste in a short action prompt for the video, then Cinema Studio gives me a whole library of movement presets to choose from. Things like dolly shots, orbits, drone shots, and handheld styles. I'll pick this one, adjust the speed ramp to auto, and hit generate. And the difference from anything we made in the earlier levels is obvious. The lens physics from the camera rig carry through into the video, the movement feels physical and planned, and the whole clip has that weight to it that you just don't get from typing camera instructions into a prompt. The second feature at the cinematographer level is keyframing. This lets me set a start image and an end image, and Higgsfield builds a smooth video between them. So I'll take this image of a girl drawn in a sketchbook, and for my end frame, I'll upload a realistic photo of that same character standing in an actual environment. I'll paste a prompt describing the transition, and the result is stunning. The character goes from a flat drawing to a living, breathing person, and the whole thing plays out like a single continuous shot. You can also use this for character morphs, setting one person as the start frame and a completely different person as the end frame, and the AI builds a smooth cinematic morph between them. At this point, I have a virtual camera rig, 3D scene control, 16 image grid generation, smooth transitions between any two images, and upscaled output. That's every tool Cinema Studio offers for individual shots. What all of that still doesn't give me is the ability to direct a full scene with multiple shots, multiple characters, and emotional arcs. But this is where the final level comes in. Everything up to level 4 has been about creating one shot at a time. The Storyteller level is where Cinema Studio 2.0 opens up completely and truly takes AI video generation to its absolute pinnacle. What makes this a separate level is that everything changes about how you plan your content. At every previous level, you think about one image, one video, and one result. But at the Storyteller level, you're thinking about pacing across 6 shots, how emotions build from one cut to the next, and how genre affects the feel of the entire sequence. So, when I click the mode selector in Cinema Studio 2.0, I get 3 options. Single shot is what we used at level 4. One clip at a time. Multi-shot auto lets me write one prompt and the AI breaks it into a cinematic sequence on its own, and multi-shot manual is full control where I configure every shot individually. I'm going with multi-shot manual. When I select it, boxes appear on the timeline and each one represents a separate shot. I can have up to 6 within that 12-second window, and I split the duration however I want. One shot could run 3 seconds, another could be half a second, as long as they add up to 12. Now before I write any prompts, I need to open the director's panel. This is where I bring in the characters I created earlier and assign each one an emotion. I click on my main character and pick from options like hope, anger, fear, trust, surprise, and a whole range of others. And these aren't just labels, they actually carry through the generation and affect the facial expressions and body language the AI gives that character. For this scene, I'm building something with a surreal, dreamlike feel. A woman standing on a balcony railing at night, she falls and a portal rips open beneath her. So I'll assign my main character fear for the opening, and I'll set the genre to suspense. That way, the AI gives me darker pacing, heavier atmosphere, and more tension in the camera work. I'll paste in each shot's prompt, set the first one to a jib up for the wide establishing moment, the second to a dolly in on her face right before the fall, the third to a drone shot following her down with an impact speed ramp so it snaps into slow motion mid-drop, the fourth to a static shot as the portal tears open beneath her, the fifth to a camera follows as she falls from the sky, and the sixth to a jib up as the second portal swallows her whole. I'll hit generate and the result plays out as one seamless sequence. You get 6 distinct shots with 6 different camera movements, and you can watch the pacing build from quiet tension all the way to full chaos. The reason these sequences feel so consistent is the director panel and manual shot control. Being able to assign emotions and configure 6 camera movements in one generation is something I have not found anywhere else. If you want to try this out, sign up for Higgsfield using the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.